Lynn, thanks for your time. We are here to talk about the PAC Act, and there's some things that are happening with it that our readers need to know about. So, Lynn, tell us what's going on right now with the PAC Act, and I understand that there's a hearing coming up. What's that all about?
Yes, I'm very excited to share that the PAC Act, which is a piece of legislation that Ameripen has been championing for, gosh, I don't know how many years at this point. We've been working hard on it. So to have a hearing set, and the hearing is going to be set on Wednesday, July 22nd at 10:15. It's going to be heard within the House Subcommittee on Commerce, Manufacturing, and Trade, which is the subcommittee within Energy and Commerce. So what we're expecting is that within that hearing, they will look at a number of different bills. It's almost probably a dozen different bills. There are a couple related to packaging, and then the rest of them are all a variety of other bills, not necessarily related to packaging. But what is the combining factor over all of them is they're all related to consumer protection.
Okay. So the PAC Act, we had done an article a little bit earlier this year, which I'll link to, explaining what that's all about. But basically, it's championing for national standards for recyclable, compostable, and reusable claims on packaging. And I'm just wondering, there's other things happening in the packaging sustainability world. Recent news about California's SB 343 being blocked by a judge, and that's California's truth in labeling law. So it's not, apples and apples. It's a little bit more like apples and maybe pears. But what are the implications then for the PAC Act, considering that the news that 343 has been blocked?
So I would actually say it's apples to apples, not necessarily apples to oranges, because one of the reasons that the PAC Act is being under consideration is we're starting to see more states pass laws specifically related to using recyclable, compostable, or reusable claims on packaging. California's 343 is, certainly one of the impetuses. Certainly, there are other states like Washington and in Colorado where we've seen laws specifically on using compostable claims. With California's injunction on 343, frankly, it may delay some compliance, but it doesn't impact the need for the PAC Act, because it wouldn't stop any other states doing it. For example, New York was also looking at separate legislation this year that would also regulate the use of recyclable, compostable, and reusable product or claims on packaging. And what we're finding is that patchwork of legislation just doesn't work for consumers. It doesn't work for businesses. So again, even though we've seen that injunction on 343, it gives us a little bit of a breather, but it doesn't stop us or stop the need for the PAC Act at the federal level.
Okay. I know it might almost be, easy to understand, but Lynn, do you mind outlining what does it mean to have a consistent national labeling for sustainable packaging claims?
Right. So right now, what we're looking at is, as I mentioned, a patchwork of legislation across the states. So if California decides that only certain products can be labeled recyclable, and then let's say New York decides a different set of products, then that's going to cause confusion with consumers. They're not going to know what to do, because ultimately consumer packaging companies may decide to take off those labels off of the products because they can't figure out where are they supposed to be selling these based on the labeling. Is it easier for them just to take that message off? And we know from various studies that consumers do look to the package itself to figure out, should I recycle it, compost it, reuse it? And without that messaging or inconsistent messaging, it just gets very difficult, again, for the consumers, difficult for the businesses in which that are trying to operate in multiple states.
Okay. I know that there's been a lot of discussion in the industry about national versus state laws for packaging related regulations. And I'm just wondering if On the extended producer responsibility front, we're in the same situation where the states are writing a little bit different laws, which is their right. But again, there's this confusion that could happen. And I'm just wondering if the PAC Act is successful and passes, do you think that might be a first step or a help in getting a federal extended producer responsibility law passed as well?
I would say we're not anywhere near having that conversation just because it's two very, very different laws. One specifically related to labeling and something we're dealing with right now on extended producer responsibility. We're still working through that process. We don't yet know what works, what doesn't work. We wouldn't want to see anything at that federal level until we have a much better understanding of what does work and what doesn't work. We're just not there yet.
Okay, excellent answer. Makes total sense. One last thing, I'm wondering if you could tell us, you recently issued kind of like a statement, which will be included in this piece, championing, telling people in the packaging industry, please support the PAC Act, and a couple of things that they can do to do that. But as the bill moves through Congress, what should the packaging folks be on the lookout for, and why?
Sure. So a couple of things just from a process standpoint. So obviously we have a hearing coming on Wednesday. There's no vote expected to be taken, but we're hoping that it'll move to markup and a vote within the committee as the next step. Then it would move to a floor vote. So I think that would be for the entire House. That will be critical. The other thing we're working on right now is getting a companion bill in the Senate. So just again, from a process standpoint, we want to see something in the House and in the Senate. So that's from a process standpoint. But for what the industry should be paying attention to is really taking a look at any kind of changes that we would potentially anticipate in the bill itself. What kind of language, what kind of questions are we going to be asked on Wednesday, and how that might actually change the language itself. So for the industry, that preemption language that's in there that would stop additional states or new states, any state, from having different type of language related to recyclable, compostable, and reusable, that's really critical. So we need to make sure that that's included in there. In the current language is a requirement that if a company chooses to use recyclable, compostable, or reusable, that there's third-party certification to back up and substantiate that claim. We think that that's important so that people understand that. And so I think that's something else that we really need to take a look at. Those are a couple of the key things.
Okay, excellent. A couple of follow-up questions. Do you have any sense of the timing on this? Do you think it would go to a floor vote yet this year?
No, we do not.
Oh, okay.
No, unfortunately,
Okay.
we do not. It's definitely not something that we can control, but we do know that we have the August recess coming up in Congress coming up. And so we'd like to see as much progress made as possible. Of course, we also have midterm elections coming up in November. So we know that Congress has a number of other priorities. We're hoping that they will help prioritize this key bill with those other things in mind.
Okay, great. Wonderful. Lynn, is there anything that I haven't thought to ask about this that you'd like to share?
No, again, thank you. We appreciate the opportunity to have a conversation about this and make sure that the industry understands the importance of engaging on this critical bill.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it. We'll get the news out.
Thanks so much.